Picture this scenario. I bet it's happened to you within the last month. It's Tuesday, around 6:15 p.m. You're sitting in your car, staring at the taillights of the SUV in front of you. Your lower back aches from sitting in an office chair for 8 hours, and your brain feels like a browser with 50 tabs open, all of them frozen. Your boss dropped a quick project on your desk at 4:45 p.m., and you spent the last hour of your life grinding through a spreadsheet just to make someone else's quarterly projections look slightly greener. You look at your dashboard and see the low fuel light flicker on. That's another $60 gone just to keep the commute machine running. You're too tired to even think about chopping a vegetable, so you pull into the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. By the time you get a meal and a large soda to drown out the stress, you spent $22. You finally get home, collapse on the couch, and check your bank app. There it is, your bi-weekly deposit. You do the quick math. I make $40 an hour. That's $83,200 a year. I'm doing great. But here's the terrifying question. If you're doing so great, why does it feel like you're barely treading water? Why is it that every Friday your bank account looks like a crime scene? The truth is, you aren't making $40 an hour, not even close. You are the victim of a mathematical illusion, a corporate scam designed to keep you productive, exhausted, and just broke enough that you can't afford to quit. Today, we are going to do a forensic audit of your life. We are going to strip away the marketing fluff of your gross salary and find your real hourly wage. And I'm warning you, once you see the real number, you'll never look at a paycheck the same way again. My name is Joey, and I spend way too much time thinking about the hidden equations that keep most people stuck on financial treadmills. If you're someone who feels like you're working harder than ever, but your net worth is staying flat, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, we live in a world that's obsessed with top-line numbers. We brag about our salaries at parties. We focus on the gross. But in business, the only number that matters is the net profit. If a company makes $1 billion but spends $1.1 billion, they're bankrupt. You are the CEO of a company called Your Life, and right now, your profit margins are being shredded by hidden taxes, vampire costs, and psychological traps. Let's get to work.
Here's the thing about a $40 an hour job. It sounds respectable. In most of the U.S., that puts you well above the median individual income. You feel like a professional. But that $40 is a marketing price. Think of it like buying a car. The sticker says $30,000, but then you add the sales tax, the registration fees, the dealer dock fees, the gap insurance, and suddenly you're financing $38,000 at 7% interest. The work scam operates the same way, but in reverse. The employer advertises $40, but by the time the money hits your pocket and covers the costs of its own generation, it has evaporated. Most people treat their job like a gift. They think, my employer gives me $40 for an hour of my time. Wrong. You are selling a finite resource, your life energy, to a client. And like any business, you have cost of goods sold. You have overhead. You have maintenance. If you don't account for these, you are flying blind. You're celebrating a $40 win while ignoring a $28 loss. Let's stop guessing and start calculating. We're going to take a typical $40 an hour professional and run them through the real wage meat grinder. Layer 1, the taxman's bite. Let's start with the most obvious one, Uncle Sam. If you make $83,200 a year, you aren't keeping $83,200. If you live in a state with moderate income tax, let's say Virginia or Georgia, you're looking at federal income tax, state tax, and FICA, Social Security, and Medicare. On average, your effective tax rate is going to hover around 22% to 25%. Let's be conservative and say 25%. $40 becomes $30. Just like that, 15 minutes of every hour you work belongs to the government. You haven't even left the office yet, and you've already lost $10. Layer 2, the commute tax, money and time. Now, let's look at the costs of actually getting to the gig. The average American spends about $10,000 a year on their car. That's insurance, gas, tires, oil changes, and the silent killer, depreciation. If you work 2,000 hours a year, the math is simple. Your car costs you $5 for every hour you sit at your desk. $30 becomes $25. But wait, here is where the scam gets clever. We have to talk about committed time. If you have a 45-minute commute each way, that's 1.5 hours a day. Over a 5-day week, that's 7.5 hours. You aren't working 40 hours. You are committing 47.5 hours to that job. If we take your $25 and adjust it for the extra time you spend sitting in traffic, staring at a bumper sticker, your real value drops again. $25 adjusted for time becomes roughly $21.05. Layer 3, the maintenance of the professional. To keep a $40 an hour job, you have to look the part. You need the professional wardrobe, suits, dress shirts, dry cleaning, the nice shoes. If you spend $1,200 a year on work-specific attire and maintenance, that's another 60 cents per hour. Then there's the efficiency tax, the food. Because you're busy and exhausted, you buy the $6 latte. You buy the $15 sad desk salad because you didn't have time to meal prep. If you spend $20 a day on work-related food and caffeine, that's $4,000 a year, or $2 per hour. $21.05 becomes $18.45. Layer 4, the decompression tax, the cost of stress. This is the one nobody wants to admit. Look, if your job is stressful, you pay for it. How much do you spend on relief? The happy hour drinks on Friday to forget the week? The $150 therapy sessions to deal with the burnout? The $100 massage to get the knots out of your shoulders? The mindless Amazon shopping at 11 p.m. because you feel like you deserve a treat for surviving another day of corporate politics? If your stress maintenance costs you $400 a month, that's $4,800 a year. That's $2.40 per hour. $18.45 becomes $16.05. Layer 5, the savings trap. Finally, you're a responsible adult. You put 10% into your 401k or Roth IRA. That's $4 per hour. But remember, that $4 is coming out of your remaining cash. When you subtract your retirement contribution from your surviving wage, your real take-home hourly wage is $12.05. Look at that. You started at $40. You feel like a high earner. But after the government, the car, the commute, the clothes, the stress, and the savings, you are living your actual life on $12 an hour.
Now, you might be thinking, Joey, I'd have to pay for food and a car anyway. Here's the thing. Would you? If you worked from home, would you spend $10K a year on a late model commuter car, or would you drive a 10-year-old Toyota that's already paid off? If you weren't mentally fried by 5 p.m., would you spend $60 a week on DoorDash, or would you actually enjoy cooking a $5 meal at home? The work scam relies on a psychological phenomenon called Parkinson's law. It states that expenses rise to meet income. When you get that raise to $40, your brain doesn't say, "Great, I can save $10 more per hour." Your brain says, "I am a $40 an hour person now. I should live in a $40 an hour neighborhood. I should drive a $40 an hour SUV. I should wear $40 an hour clothes." This is lifestyle creep masquerading as progress. The corporations love this. They want you to have a $600 car payment and a $2,500 mortgage. Why? Because a man with no debt and $50K in the bank is dangerous. He can say no. He can walk away from a toxic boss. He can start a business. But a man who is living on $12 an hour after his maintenance costs is a prisoner.
He is one bad Tuesday away from insolvency. He has to show up. He has to take the abuse. You've been sold a version of the American dream that is actually a subscription service to your own cubicle. You are working harder to pay for the things that allow you to keep working. It's a closed loop, and the loop is getting tighter. So, how do we break the scam? Do you just quit and move to a commune? No, you start running your life like a high-margin business instead of a low-margin charity. Step 1. The Life Energy Audit. You need to read a book called Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin. She pioneered the concept of life energy. Every dollar you spend represents a piece of your life that you'll never get back. Stop looking at a $1,200 iPhone as $1,200. Look at it through the lens of your real hourly wage. If your real wage is $12, that iPhone doesn't cost 3 days of work. It costs 100 hours of your life. When you realize you have to work 100 hours, 2.5 weeks, just to pay for a piece of glass and aluminum, the desire to buy it usually vanishes. This friction is the greatest wealth-building tool you have. Step 2. Artificial scarcity.
You need to make yourself feel broke. If your real wage is $12, you should be living like it. The reason you're stuck is that you're trying to live a $40 an hour lifestyle on a $12 an hour profit margin. You have to widen the gap. Automate your savings. If you get a raise, don't change your lifestyle. Move the difference directly into an S&P 500 index fund or a high-yield savings account. If the money never hits your checking account, Parkinson's law can't touch it. You can't see what you don't spend. Step 3. Geographic and structural arbitrage. Look, the biggest vampire costs are your house and your car. If you can move closer to work and kill the commute, you aren't just saving gas, you're buying back 30 hours of your life every month. If you can secure a remote job, even if it pays $35 instead of $40, you might actually be richer. Think about it. $35 an hour remote means zero gas, zero commute time, zero work clothes, and zero stress lunches. Your real wage might jump from $12 to $22. That's an 80% raise in your quality of life, even though your gross pay went down. Step 4. Kill the status signaling. Stop trying to impress people who don't care about you with money you haven't really earned. The pavement princess trucks and the designer bags are just shiny chains. The ultimate flex isn't the Rolex, it's the ability to wake up on a Tuesday and decide you aren't going to work today because you don't need the money. Here's the bottom line. The system is designed to keep you as a conduit for cash. Money flows from your employer through your hands and directly into the pockets of the bank, the auto manufacturer, and the tax office. You are just the middleman. But once you calculate your real hourly wage, the veil is lifted. You realize that you've been trading your precious limited hours on this planet for a gross number that is a lie. This weekend, I want you to sit down with a yellow legal pad. Be honest. Be brutal. Calculate your taxes, your commute, your work clothes, your stress drinks, and your convenience meals. Find your real number. If that number is $12 or $8 or, heaven forbid, $5, don't panic. Get angry. Use that anger to fuel your exit strategy. Cut the fat, kill the debt, build the gap. Because wealth isn't about how much you earn. Wealth is about how much of your life you actually own. If this video made you rethink your paycheck, share it with a coworker who looks like they're running out of air. We're all in this together, and math is our only way out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.